Moving to a more supportive environment. It's time. Maybe it's past time. What we don't want to do is get it past time. So let's think. What's leading us to this place of considering it's time to move to a more supportive environment? So what are the variables? When I say more supportive environment, what am I talking about? Is the environment safer? Is the environment such that there will be more opportunities to engage in some form or fashion? Is there a situation that this new environment will reduce access to things that we don't want the person having access to, or increase access to things that we do want them having available? Is it an opportunity for the person to use the skills they still have in a way that the current environment doesn't allow? Or is it truly a possibility that the resources we have here are simply worn out and we need a break? Maybe it's a case where the supportive environment is just for respite. If that's the case, we still want to think about safety, ability, and access, but we're thinking about it really on a short-term basis. And a possible suggestion, try it before you need it. Think about a short little vacation where you step away and see how it goes, so that you have some advance notice of what might happen if you seriously do need this, if you have the resources and access to do that. So when I'm out shopping or considering, or when you are, is the person living with this also part of that shopping experience? Or do you want to do some preliminary, or do you recognize, pause, actually, I want someone else to do some of the preliminary work. Once I lay out what are the considerations that we need in order to make it a more supportive environment. We want to recognize there's no perfect environment. So what are our top priorities? And how are we going to communicate that? Do we want to communicate it in writing, in some kind of spoken form? Do we want it to come from the person, what they think the top priorities are, or are we really talking about our priorities? Where are they in their changes? Is it consistent or inconsistent? How do they feel about this whole move, and how are we going to talk about it? And how are we going to do it? And how are we going to get it to actually happen and hold steady? When we're thinking about moving into a more supportive environment, it's definitely time to, what do we think will change and why? When we think about moving to a new place, do we bring some of the props, some of the objects, some of the furniture, some of the setting with us? Do we worry more about the direction of where things are for the person? Is the bathroom still in that direction? Is the hallway still in this direction? Do we consider who's going to be in the environment that wasn't in the environment before? And what will that do? Are we thinking that will increase the opportunities for being social, or increase the need for having control and getting in a space that's mine and not coming out? Do we recognize that there will be an adjustment period, and that adjustment may increase some heightened risk, and we will also need some decreased expectations that everything is going to be great? So supportive environment change, yeah, it's highly possible we're going to need it not once, but multiple times during this journey. What we want to keep in mind is waiting to the last minute until there is a crisis actually increases the risk that this transition won't be supportive, and in fact may cause greater sense of distress, anticipation, and rejection. Planning ahead before you need it, looking around and exploring before it's necessary, can make all the difference in the world, because perhaps something happens unexpectedly. You're in the hospital and we can't come back to where we were. There's variables that matter. If that's the case, what are my options for a supportive alternative? The more I know ahead of time, the easier it is to pull that data out, take a look at it, consider it, and come up with the best option for now. Plan to take your time, take a breath, and realize this is going to be hard, not just for the person living with dementia, but also for you.